The massive ship moved through space like a dark mountain, its metal hull stretched for miles, covered in strange symbols that glowed with cold blue light. Inside the ship, creatures moved through corridors lined with glass cases. Each case held something that had once been alive. Veltar walked slowly past the trophy room. His 6 legs clicked against the metal floor. His black eyes studied each display case with pride. Here was the skull of a Zephyrian, its crystal surface still catching light even in death. There was the floating brain of an Aerith suspended in special gas. The collection went on and on, case after case of dead things from dead worlds. Veltar was the High Huntmaster of the Keth Moran hegemony. His people had been hunting for 50,000 years. They had perfected the art of finding new species and turning them into sport. The Keth Moran did not conquer worlds like other aliens. They did something worse. They hunted. The process was always the same. First, their scout ships would find a new world with intelligent life. Then they would study the creatures from far away, learning their habits and weaknesses. The Keth Moran would make detailed files about each species. How fast could they run? How smart were they? What scared them most? All of this information went into the hunting database. When the study was complete, the real fun began. The Keth Moran would announce themselves to the new species. They would explain the rules of the hunt. The creatures would have 1 year to try to survive. They could run, hide, or fight. It did not matter. In the end, they all became trophies. Veltar stopped at his favorite display case. Inside was a small blue flower, perfectly preserved. It had come from a world called Mindara. The creatures there could speak with their minds instead of their mouths. They had been beautiful hunters the way they tried to hide their thoughts from the Keth Moran scanners. But beauty did not save them. Nothing ever did. A young Keth Moran warrior approached. His name was Zektar, and he served as Veltar's hunting advisor. His forearms carried data tablets covered in new information. "High Huntmaster," Zektar said, bowing his triangular head. "The scout ships have returned from the outer rim. They have found something interesting." Veltar turned away from the trophy case. His black eyes focused on the younger hunter. "Tell me, a new system, High Huntmaster. A yellow star with several planets. The 3rd planet from the star has life. Intelligent life." Veltar felt excitement stir in his chest. It had been 3 years since the last hunt. His warriors were getting restless. They needed new prey to keep their skills sharp. "Show me the data," Veltar commanded. Zektar activated his tablet. A hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed a blue and green planet covered in swirling white clouds. The planet looked peaceful and beautiful. "The inhabitants call their world Earth," Zektar explained. "They call themselves humans. Our scanners show they are a young species. They have only been using tools for a few thousand years." Veltar studied the spinning planet. "What about their technology?" "Very primitive, High Huntmaster. They have only just learned to leave their planet. Their weapons are crude. They fight among themselves constantly. Our intelligence shows they are divided into many different groups that do not trust each other." This was perfect. The best hunts always involved species that could not work together. When prey fought among themselves, they made easy targets. "What about their physical abilities?" Veltar asked. Zektar swiped his tablet, bringing up new data. "They are bipedal mammals, High Huntmaster. They are not very strong compared to most species we have hunted. They are not very fast either. But our scouts noticed something unusual." "Unusual how?" "They are persistence predators, High Huntmaster. On their world, they hunt by following prey for very long distances. They do not give up easily." Veltar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Persistence? Against Keth Moran technology. Their persistence will not help them when we hunt them from the sky." The hologram changed to show images of human cities. Veltar could see millions of the creatures moving through their primitive settlements. They looked so small and weak. This would not even be challenging. "Have you classified them yet?" Veltar asked. "Yes, High Huntmaster. Based on our analysis, we have given them a Tier 7 sport value. They should provide adequate entertainment for our hunters, but nothing special." Veltar nodded. Tier 7 was average. Not the most exciting hunt, but it would keep his warriors busy. And there were so many humans on the planet. The hunt could last for many months. "Very good," Veltar said. "Send word to the fleet commanders. We will begin preparations immediately. I want the full hunting protocol in place within 6 months." "Yes, High Huntmaster. Should we begin with the standard observation period?" "Of course. We must study their behavior patterns before the hunt begins. I want to know everything about these humans. Where do they gather? What are their daily routines? How do they react to fear? Zektar bowed again. It will be done, High Huntmaster. The advanced scouts are already moving into position around their system. Veltar turned back to look at the trophy cases. Soon there would be new additions to his collection. Perhaps a human skull would look good next to the Zephyrian crystal. Or maybe he would preserve one of their primitive tools as a reminder of how weak they had been. There is one more thing, High Huntmaster, Zektar said carefully. What? The humans have many different types on their world. Different colors, different cultures, different languages. Should we hunt them all the same way? Veltar considered this. Some species had subspecies that required different hunting strategies, but from what he could see, all humans looked basically the same. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. They were all equally weak. Treat them as one species, Veltar decided. They may look different, but they are all the same underneath. All prey. The hologram showed more images of Earth. Veltar could see their cities, their farms, their primitive vehicles moving along roads. None of it impressed him. The humans had no idea what was coming for them. They lived their simple lives on their little blue planet thinking they were safe. Soon they would learn the truth. Soon they would discover that the universe was full of predators much worse than anything on their world. The Kethmoran had hunted across the entire galaxy. They had faced species with incredible technology, amazing powers, and deadly weapons. All of them had fallen. These humans would be no different. Veltar walked away from the trophy room, already planning the hunt in his mind. He would need to choose his best warriors for this mission. The humans might be weak, but Veltar always prepared carefully. That was why he had never lost a hunt in his long career. Behind him, the trophy cases glowed softly in the dim light. Soon there would be room for new prizes. Soon the humans would join all the other extinct species in the Kethmoran collection. The hunt would begin. Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at the computer screen in her underground office. The numbers made no sense. For 3 weeks, satellites had been failing in strange patterns. Deep space telescopes were detecting objects that should not exist. Radio dishes were picking up signals that followed no known pattern. Elena was the director of the Global Defense Monitoring Network. Her job was to watch for threats to Earth. She had been doing this work for 15 years, and she had never seen anything like what was happening now. Her assistant, Dr. James Park, knocked on her office door. Elena, you need to see this. We just got a call from the Russian recovery team in Siberia. Elena looked up from her screen. James looked worried, which was unusual. He was normally calm about everything. What kind of call? Elena asked. They found a crash site. Something big came down in the forest 3 days ago. The Russians sent a team to investigate. Elena felt her stomach tighten. What did they find? James placed a folder on her desk. Pictures. And some very strange readings. Elena opened the folder. The first photograph showed a massive crater in the snow. At the center of the crater was something that made her breath catch. It was clearly not from Earth. The object was about the size of a school bus, but shaped like nothing humans had ever built. Its surface was covered in symbols that glowed with blue light. Parts of it had broken open in the crash, revealing technology that looked both alien and advanced. This is real? Elena asked. The Russian team confirmed it. They also found something else. James handed her another photograph. This one showed the inside of the crashed object. Elena could see strange computers and control panels, but what caught her attention was something else entirely. Bodies. The creatures inside the ship were clearly not human. They had 6 legs and black eyes. Their skin was dark and covered in what looked like natural armor. They were dead, killed in the crash. My God, Elena whispered. It gets worse, James said. The Russians were able to access some of the ship's computer systems before they shut down. They found a database. James placed a thick report on Elena's desk. This is what they found. Elena, I think you should sit down. Elena was already sitting, but she gripped the arms of her chair as she began to read the report. The database was enormous. It contained detailed files on hundreds of different species. Each file included biological information, behavioral patterns, and something that made Elena's blood run cold. Hunting strategies. The database was organized like a catalog. Each species had been given a classification number and a sport value rating. The files described how to hunt each type of creature most effectively. Some species were listed as extinct. Hunt complete. Elena flipped through page after page of dead civilizations. The Zephyrians. The Aerith Collective. The Mindari. All of them gone. All of them hunted to extinction by the same creatures who had crashed in Siberia. There's more, James said quietly. Look at the last entry in the database. Elena turned to the final pages of the report. Her hands were shaking as she read the newest file in the alien database. Species, human classification, Tier 7 sport value planet, Earth, Sol system. Status, selected for hunt estimated hunt duration, 12 months, special notes, persistence predators. Not expected to provide significant challenge. Elena stared at the words until they blurred. These creatures had been studying humanity. They had classified humans as prey, and according to the database, the hunt was scheduled to begin soon. We need to contact the world leaders immediately, Elena said. Her voice sounded strange and distant. Already done, James replied. Emergency sessions are being called in every major capital. The president wants to see you in Washington tomorrow. Elena closed the report. Her mind was racing. Aliens were real. They had been hunting intelligent species across the galaxy for thousands of years, and now they were coming for Earth. How long do we have? She asked. Based on the database timestamps, we think the main fleet is already on its way. Maybe 6 months before they arrive. 6 months to prepare for something that had destroyed hundreds of other civilizations. Elena thought about all the science fiction movies she had watched as a child. In those stories, aliens usually wanted to conquer Earth or steal its resources. But these creatures were different. They did not want to rule humanity. They wanted to hunt humans for sport. The next few days passed in a blur of meetings and briefings. Elena found herself in rooms with presidents and prime ministers, explaining again and again what the alien database contained. Some leaders refused to believe it at first. Others wanted to attack immediately. A few suggested trying to negotiate. Elena had to keep explaining that negotiation was not possible. The database made it clear that the Kethmoran, as they called themselves, did not negotiate with prey species. They had never failed to complete a hunt. Every species they had targeted was now extinct. But something interesting happened during those emergency meetings. For the first time in human history, the world's leaders began to work together completely. The threat was so large and so terrible that old rivalries seemed unimportant. President Chen of the United States spoke for everyone when she said, "This is not about different countries anymore. This is about the survival of our entire species." Within 2 weeks, Project Terran Shield was announced to the world. Every nation would contribute to Earth's defense. All military forces would be combined under a single command structure. All scientific research would be shared freely. Elena was appointed as scientific director of the project. Her first job was to study the crashed alien ship more carefully. Teams of engineers and scientists from around the world traveled to Siberia to examine the technology. What they found was both encouraging and terrifying. The alien technology was far more advanced than anything humans had built, but it was not magic. The computers used recognizable principles. The weapons followed known physics. The ship's engines were incredibly advanced, but they were still engines. Dr. Sarah Chen, a military engineer from Taiwan, made the first breakthrough. She was studying the alien weapon systems when she realized something important. These weapons are designed for hunting, she told Elena during a briefing. Look at the settings. They have options for stunning prey, tracking wounded targets, and creating fear responses. These are not military weapons. They are hunting tools. Elena studied the data. Sarah was right. The aliens had built their technology for stalking and capturing prey, not for fighting wars. Their ships were designed to be scary and impressive, but they were not heavily armored. Their weapons were precise rather than powerful. This might be important, Elena said. These creatures have been hunting for 50,000 years. But have they ever fought a war? The teams continued to study the crashed ship for weeks. They learned how the alien computers worked. They figured out how to read the strange symbols. Most importantly, they learned how the Kethmoran thought. The aliens saw themselves as perfect predators. They had spent millennia developing the most efficient hunting methods possible. They had detailed files on how every other species had failed. But Elena began to notice something interesting about those files. Every species had tried the same basic strategies. They had hidden, built shelters, or tried to escape to other planets. Some had fought back, but only defensively. They had tried to protect their homes and families. None of them had ever tried to hunt the Hunters Elena shared this observation with the military leaders during a late-night strategy meeting. Every species in that database reacted the same way, she explained. They all tried to survive by avoiding the Kethmoran. But what if we did something different? What if we did not just defend ourselves? Admiral Sarah Chen, the newly appointed Supreme Commander of Terran Defense Forces, leaned forward in her chair. What are you suggesting, Doctor? I am suggesting that these aliens have never faced prey that fights back intelligently. They are used to hunting scared animals. But humans are not just any animals. We are persistence predators ourselves. The room was quiet as everyone considered this idea. Helena continued. On Earth, humans became the dominant species by being better hunters than anything else. We did not give up when prey ran away. We followed them until they collapsed from exhaustion. What if we used that same strategy against the Kethmoran? Admiral Chen smiled grimly. You mean we hunt them back? Exactly. They want to hunt us? Fine. Let them learn what it feels like to be hunted by humans. The Kethmoran fleet arrived on a Tuesday morning. Their ships appeared suddenly in Earth's sky, massive black shapes that blocked out the sun over major cities. People all around the world stopped what they were doing and stared up at the alien vessels. Veltar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Hunt. Through the large viewing window, he could see the blue planet below. It looked exactly like the images from the database, small, peaceful, and completely helpless. Send the hunt declaration, Veltar commanded. Within minutes, every television, radio, and computer on Earth received the same message. The transmission showed Veltar in all his alien glory, his 6 legs and black eyes making him look like something from a nightmare. Humans of Earth. Veltar's voice was translated into every language on the planet. You have been selected for the honor of becoming prey in the great hunt. Your species will provide sport for the warriors of the Kethmoran hegemony. Elena watched the broadcast from the command center. Buried deep beneath Washington, D.C. around her, military officers and scientists monitored screens showing the alien fleet's positions. Everyone was silent as Veltar continued speaking. The rules of the hunt are simple. You have exactly 1 year from this moment to survive. You may run, hide, or fight. All methods are permitted. But you cannot surrender. Surrender ruins the sport. Veltar gestured with one of his forearms. The image changed to show footage from previous hunts. Elena watched in horror as the screen displayed scenes of alien worlds being destroyed, cities burning, creatures running in terror. The message was clear. We have hunted across the galaxy for 50,000 years. We have never failed to complete a hunt. You will not be the first. The transmission ended. Around the world, panic began to spread. But Elena noticed something interesting. The panic was not as bad as she had expected. Humans had known this was coming for months. They had been preparing. Admiral Chen's voice came over the command center speakers. All units, this is Supreme Command. Operation Terran Shield is now active. Execute Phase 1 immediately. Across the globe, humanity began to move. But instead of running away in terror like previous species, humans implemented carefully planned procedures. Cities that had been evacuated weeks ago were already empty. Military units were already in position. Communication networks switched to hidden frequencies. Veltar watched from his ship as the planet below seemed to suddenly become quiet. He had expected to see crowds of humans running through the streets. Instead, the cities appeared almost empty. Zektar, Veltar called to his hunting advisor. Why are they not panicking? Zektar studied his scanner readings. It appears they have evacuated their major population centers, High Huntmaster. This is unusual, Veltar frowned. Previous species had either fled immediately or gathered together for protection. The humans seemed to be doing neither. They had simply disappeared. Send down the first hunting parties, Veltar ordered. Let us see how they react to direct contact. 3 Kethmoran hunting ships descended toward Earth's surface. Each ship carried 50 alien warriors equipped with the latest hunting technology. They landed in what had once been major cities, expecting to find crowds of humans to pursue. Instead, they found empty streets. The first hunting party landed in what used to be New York City. The Kethmoran warriors emerged from their ship, weapons ready. Their leader, a veteran hunter named Graktor, activated his prey scanners. I am detecting human life signs, Graktor reported to the flagship. But they are spread out in small groups. Very small groups. This was not normal. Previous prey species had gathered in large herds when threatened. Large groups were easier to hunt and provided better sport. Small groups were harder to track and could move quickly. Graktor led his warriors toward the nearest group of humans. According to his scanners, there were only 5 of them hiding in a building several blocks away. This should be easy. But as the Kethmaran moved through the empty streets, strange things began to happen. They heard sounds from buildings that turned out to be empty. Their scanners detected movement that led to nothing. It was as if the humans were deliberately confusing them. When Graktor's team finally reached the building where the 5 humans were supposed to be hiding, they found it empty except for a small device that was broadcasting fake human life signs. "Hi, Huntmaster," Graktor reported. "The humans are using deception tactics." Veltar was puzzled. Deception was a sign of intelligence, but it was also a sign of fear. Prey species only used tricks when they could not fight directly. This should still be easy to overcome. "Continue the hunt," Veltar ordered. "They cannot hide forever." But the humans had no intention of just hiding. As the Kethmaran hunting parties spread out across the planet, they began to encounter something they had never faced before. The prey was fighting back. The first attack happened in what used to be London. A Kethmaran hunting party was tracking a group of humans through the abandoned subway tunnels, when the lights suddenly went out. In the darkness, human soldiers struck from multiple directions at once. The humans had studied the crashed alien ship carefully. They knew how Kethmaran weapons worked. They knew how the alien armor could be damaged. Most importantly, they knew that the Kethmaran were not used to coordinated attacks. When the lights came back on, 3 Kethmaran warriors were unconscious, and their weapons had been stolen. The humans had vanished back into the tunnels. Similar attacks began happening all over the planet. Small groups of human soldiers would strike fast and then disappear. They never stayed to fight a long battle. They would hit the aliens and then fade away, only to attack again somewhere else. Elena watched the reports coming in from around the world. The strategy was working better than anyone had hoped. The Kethmaran were confused and frustrated. They were used to chasing prey that ran away from them. They did not know how to handle prey that attacked and then disappeared. "How are our casualties?" Helena asked Admiral Chen. "Lower than expected," Chen replied. "We are losing people, but not as many as we feared. The aliens are not adapting to our tactics quickly." This was the key to humanity's strategy. The Kethmaran had spent 50,000 years perfecting techniques that worked against every other species. But humans were not behaving like other species. Instead of trying to protect fixed locations, humans were constantly moving. Instead of fighting defensively, they were attacking aggressively. Dr. Kenji Nakamura, the head of the reverse engineering team, made contact from the research facility. "Elena, we have been studying the captured alien weapons. I think we can modify them." "Modify them how?" Elena asked. "The Kethmaran designed these weapons for hunting specific types of prey, but they are very adaptable. We can reprogram them to work against Kethmaran biology instead of human biology." This was exactly what Elena had been hoping for. "How long do you need?" "Give me 2 weeks," Kenji replied. "We can have modified weapons ready for field testing." Elena smiled. 2 weeks was nothing. The aliens had planned their hunt to last for an entire year. They thought they had plenty of time to wear down human resistance. They had no idea that humans were just getting started. Veltar was becoming increasingly frustrated. It had been 2 months since the hunt began, and his warriors were not having the fun they had expected. The humans refused to behave like proper prey. Instead of running away, they set traps. Instead of hiding, they attacked. Instead of becoming more frightened as time passed, they seemed to be getting more organized and more dangerous. "Hi, Huntmaster," Zektar reported during the daily briefing. "We have lost 17 warriors to human attacks. This is more than we lost during the entire Mindari hunt." Veltar's black eyes narrowed. "How is this possible?" "The humans have primitive technology. They are using our own weapons against us, High Huntmaster. They have learned to modify our equipment very quickly." This was disturbing news. Previous prey species had never been able to use Kethmaran technology effectively. Most of them could barely understand how the weapons worked, let alone modify them. "What do the analysis teams report?" Veltar asked. Zektar consulted his datapad. "The humans are not fighting like any species in our database, High Huntmaster. They use what they call guerrilla tactics. They strike quickly and then disappear. They never stay in one place long enough for us to hunt them properly." Veltar considered this information. Perhaps it was time to change tactics. The Kethmaran had other methods for dealing with stubborn prey. Prepare the orbital bombardment systems, Veltar ordered. If the humans will not come out to be hunted, we will force them out. But as Veltar was planning his next move, he had no idea that the humans were planning something much bigger. Elena and her team had been busy during those 2 months. They had not just been defending Earth, they had been studying the Kethmaran fleet very carefully, and they had discovered something very interesting about their hunters. Something that would change everything. 6 months into the hunt, everything changed. Dr. Kenji Nakamura stood in the underground laboratory, looking at the modified alien weapon in his hands. It looked similar to the original Kethmaran hunting rifle, but the humans had made important improvements. The key was understanding how they think, Kenji explained to Elena. The Kethmaran build their technology for hunting prey that runs away, but we have made these weapons work for hunting prey that fights back. Elena examined the weapon carefully. The human modifications were clever. Where the original weapon was designed to stun and capture, the new version was designed to track and pursue. The Kethmaran had never needed to hunt something that was hunting them back. How many do we have ready? Elena asked. 50 modified weapons, and we are producing more every day, Kenji replied. But that is not the best part. Show her the scanner data, Maria. Commander Maria Santos stepped forward. She was the leader of the most successful human strike team. Her soldiers had captured more alien equipment than any other unit. We have been studying the Kethmaran hunting patterns, Maria explained. They have a weakness they do not even know about. Maria activated a holographic display showing the alien fleet positions around Earth. Look at how they position their ships. They always stay in formation. They always follow the same patrol routes. They never change their behavior because they have never needed to. Elena studied the display. Maria was right. The Kethmaran fleet moved in predictable patterns. They are not expecting to be hunted. Exactly, Maria said. These aliens have spent 50,000 years as predators. They have never been prey. They do not know how to react when something starts hunting them. This was the breakthrough Elena had been hoping for. The human strategy had worked so far, but it was still defensive. They were surviving the hunt, but they were not winning it. Now they had a chance to turn the tables completely. What do you propose? Elena asked. Maria smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Operation Pursuit. We stop hiding from the hunters. We start hunting them. The plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of waiting for Kethmaran hunting parties to find human settlements, human teams would actively track down the aliens. Using modified alien technology and human persistence, small groups of soldiers would stalk individual Kethmaran warriors. The psychological impact would be devastating. For the first time in their species' history, the Kethmaran would experience what it felt like to be prey. Elena presented the plan to Admiral Chen and the world leaders. The response was immediate approval. Humanity had been playing defense for 6 months. It was time to attack. The first hunt began 3 days later. Maria led a team of 12 soldiers equipped with the new modified weapons. Their target was a Kethmaran hunting party that had been terrorizing the ruins of Tokyo. Maria's team tracked the aliens for 2 days without being detected. The Kethmaran had no idea they were being followed. Why would they? In 50,000 years of hunting, no prey species had ever stalked them. The alien hunting party consisted of 8 warriors led by a veteran hunter named Thekvar. They were moving through the abandoned city, following what they thought were human life signs. In reality, they were following fake signals that Maria's team had planted to lure them into a trap. When the Kethmaran reached the predetermined location, Maria gave the signal. Her team attacked from all directions at once using tactics the aliens had never encountered. The humans did not try to kill the aliens immediately. Instead, they used modified stunning weapons to disable them one by one. The goal was not just to defeat the hunting party, but to capture them alive. When the brief battle was over, all 8 Kethmaran warriors were unconscious. Maria's team had not lost a single soldier. "Command, this is Pursuit Team 1, Maria reported over the radio. "We have successfully captured an entire hunting party. All targets are alive and secured." The news spread through the human command network quickly. For the first time since the hunt began, humans had captured Kethmaran warriors instead of just defending against them. But the psychological impact was even more important than the tactical victory. When Thekvar and his warriors woke up in human custody, they experienced something completely alien to their nature. They were prisoners of their prey. Elena interviewed the captured aliens personally. She wanted to understand how they thought and what they feared. What she discovered was even more useful than she had hoped. "You cannot do this," Thekvar said through the translation device. His 6 legs were restrained, but his black eyes still showed the arrogance of a lifelong predator. "We are the hunters. You are the prey. This is not how the hunt works." Elena studied the alien carefully. "You have been hunting for 50,000 years. Has any species ever hunted you back?" Thekvar's eyes widened. The question seemed to confuse him. "Prey does not hunt. Prey runs and hides. Prey tries to survive. But we are not just surviving," Elena pointed out. "We caught you. We are hunting you." The captured alien became agitated. His translator could not find words for what he was feeling. The concept of being hunted was so foreign to Kethmoran, thinking that their language had no terms for it. Elena pressed her advantage. "Tell me about your command ship. Tell me about the eternal hunt." Thekvar's resistance crumbled quickly. The aliens had never been trained to resist interrogation because they had never been captured before. Within hours, Elena had detailed information about the Kethmoran fleet structure, their command protocols, and most importantly, the location of their main command vessel. The Eternal Hunt was not just Veltar's flagship. It was a massive mobile museum containing the preserved remains and cultural artifacts of every species the Kethmoran had hunted to extinction. Thousands of dead civilizations were stored in its trophy rooms. "If we could capture that ship," Elena told Admiral Chen, "we could potentially restore some of those extinct species. The genetic samples alone would be priceless." Chen studied the intelligence reports. "It will not be easy. The Eternal Hunt is heavily defended and constantly moving." "I know," Elena replied, "but remember what Maria discovered. The Kethmoran move in predictable patterns. They have never needed to avoid being hunted." Over the next month, Operation Pursuit expanded rapidly. Human hunting teams struck Kethmoran positions all over the planet. The aliens found themselves in the impossible situation of being systematically stalked by their own prey. The psychological effect on the Kethmoran was devastating. Their warriors began to show signs of fear for the first time in their lives. They started looking over their shoulders, jumping at shadows, and making mistakes that would have been unthinkable before. Veltar watched his confident hunters become nervous and paranoid. He could not understand what was happening. Every other species they had hunted had become more frightened as time passed. But the humans seemed to be getting more dangerous and more organized. "High Huntmaster," Zektar reported during an emergency briefing, "we have now lost 43 warriors to human attacks. The hunting parties are requesting additional support." Veltar's forearms clenched with frustration. How are the humans doing this? They should be exhausted and terrified by now. "Our analysis suggests they are using our own hunting techniques against us," Zektar explained carefully. "They track us, study our patterns, and strike when we are most vulnerable." This was impossible. Prey did not hunt predators. It violated every natural law that Veltar understood. "Recall all hunting parties to the ships," Veltar ordered. "We will hunt from orbit instead." But even as Veltar was adapting his tactics, the humans were preparing their most ambitious operation yet. Elena and her team had spent weeks studying the Eternal Hunt's movement patterns. They had identified a weakness in the ship's defenses. More importantly, they had figured out how to exploit the Kethmoran's greatest weakness, their inability to think like prey. "They will never expect us to attack their command ship directly," Elena explained to the assembled strike team leaders. "In their entire history, no prey species has ever tried to board a Kethmoran vessel." Maria looked at the tactical display showing the Eternal Hunt's position. "It will be extremely dangerous." "That ship is enormous," yes, Elena agreed, "but it is also the center of their entire operation. If we can capture Veltar and the command crew, we can end this hunt on our terms." Admiral Chen spoke from the command center. "What do you need?" Elena smiled grimly. "I need the best pilots we have, our most experienced soldiers, and a lot of luck. We are going to do something that has never been tried before. We are going to hunt the hunters in their own den." The final phase of humanity's counterattack was about to begin, and the Kethmoran had no idea what was coming for them. The attack on the Eternal Hunt began at dawn. Maria Santos led a strike force of 50 human soldiers in modified Kethmoran ships. They had been practicing the assault for weeks, using captured alien vessels to approach the massive command ship without triggering its defenses. Elena watched from the command center as the human ships moved into position around the Eternal Hunt. The alien vessel was enormous, easily 10 times larger than any human warship. Its hull was covered in trophy displays visible even from space, showing off the remains of conquered civilizations. "Remember the objective," Elena said over the communication channel. "We want Veltar and his command crew alive, and we need to secure the trophy rooms intact." Maria's voice came back steady and calm. "Understood, Command. Beginning approach now." The human ships moved closer to the Eternal Hunt using a tactic the Kethmoran had never encountered. Instead of attacking with overwhelming force, the humans used patience and persistence. They approached slowly, staying in the blind spots of the alien ship's sensors. Veltar was in his private chamber when the attack began. The first sign of trouble was a small explosion in the ship's lower levels. Then another. Then alarms began sounding throughout the massive vessel. "High Huntmaster," Zektar's voice came over the communication system. "We are under attack. Humans have boarded the ship." Veltar could not believe what he was hearing. No prey species had ever attacked a Kethmoran command vessel. It was impossible. It violated every principle of predator and prey relationships. "How many ships are attacking us?" Veltar demanded as he rushed toward the command center. "That is the strange part, High Huntmaster," Zektar replied. "Only 3 small vessels. But the humans are already inside our ship somehow." This made no sense to Veltar. 3 ships could not possibly threaten a vessel the size of the Eternal Hunt. Unless they are not trying to destroy us, Veltar realized. They are trying to capture us. The idea was so alien to Kethmoran, thinking that Veltar almost could not process it. In 50,000 years of hunting, no prey species had ever tried to capture a predator alive. Prey ran away, prey hid, prey tried to escape. Prey did not hunt back, but humans were doing exactly that. Maria and her soldiers moved through the corridors of the Eternal Hunt with deadly efficiency. They had studied the ship's layout from the captured intelligence data. They knew exactly where to go and what to target. The Kethmoran crew was completely unprepared for this type of attack. Their ship was designed for hunting expeditions, not for defending against boarders. Their weapons were optimized for stunning prey, not for fighting in narrow corridors. Most importantly, the Kethmoran warriors had never trained for this situation. They had never imagined they might need to defend their own ship from the creatures they were hunting. "Team 2, secure the trophy rooms," Maria ordered over her radio. "Team 3, take the engine room. Team 1, follow me to the command center." The human soldiers moved with the same persistence that had made their species the dominant predators on Earth. When Kethmoran warriors tried to stop them, the humans simply went around them or through them. They never stopped advancing toward their objectives. Elena listened to the battle reports with growing excitement. The plan was working better than anyone had dared hope. The humans were systematically taking control of the Eternal Hunt, one section at a time. "Command, this is Team 2, came a voice over the radio. "We have reached the trophy rooms." "Elena, you need to see this." Elena activated the video link from Team 2's cameras. What she saw took her breath away. The trophy rooms of the Eternal Hunt were massive chambers filled with thousands of display cases. Each case contained the preserved remains or artifacts of an extinct civilization. Here was the crystal skull of a Zephyrian leader. There was the floating brain of an Aerith philosopher. In another case was what looked like a piece of living metal from a silicon-based species that had no name in any human language. But most importantly, many of the display cases contained genetic samples and cultural databases. The Kethmoran had preserved not just the bodies of their victims, but their knowledge and their potential for resurrection. "Secure everything," Elena ordered. "Do not let anything be damaged." Meanwhile, Maria's team was fighting their way toward the command center. The Kethmoran resistance was getting stronger as they approached the ship's most important areas. But the aliens were making a critical mistake. They were fighting defensively, trying to protect fixed positions. Humans had learned long ago that the best defense was often a good offense. Maria's soldiers did not try to hold ground. They kept moving, kept attacking, kept pushing forward. The Kethmoran could not adapt to this relentless pressure. When Maria finally reached the command center, she found Veltar waiting for her. The High Huntmaster was surrounded by his personal guards, but Elena could see the fear in his black eyes. "This is not possible," Veltar said through his translator. "Prey does not hunt predators. You cannot be here." Maria raised her modified alien weapon and pointed it at the High Huntmaster. "We are here, and you are coming with us." The final battle for the command center was brief. The Keth Moran guards were skilled hunters, but they had never fought against creatures that hunted them back. Maria's soldiers used tactics that confused and overwhelmed the aliens. When the shooting stopped, Veltar and his entire command crew were unconscious on the floor of their own ship. "Command, this is Maria," came the triumphant voice over the radio. "We have captured the High Huntmaster. The eternal hunt is ours." Elena felt tears running down her face. They had done it. Humanity had not just survived the Keth Moran hunt. They had turned the tables completely and captured the hunters themselves. But the real work was just beginning. Over the next few weeks, Elena and her teams worked around the clock to examine everything they had found on the Eternal Hunt. The ship's databases contained detailed information about hundreds of extinct civilizations. More importantly, they contained the genetic information needed to potentially restore many of those species. The captured Keth Moran crew provided even more valuable intelligence. Under questioning, they revealed the locations of other hegemony ships scattered across the galaxy. Each ship contained its own collection of extinct species and hunting trophies. Elena presented her findings to the world leaders during an emergency session of the United Nations. "We have an opportunity here that goes far beyond just ending the threat to Earth," Elena explained. "The Keth Moran have essentially preserved a galactic museum of extinct civilizations. With their technology and our genetic science, we can bring many of these species back from extinction." President Chen leaned forward in her chair. "What are you proposing, Doctor?" "I am proposing that we do not just stop with capturing one ship," Elena replied. "The Keth Moran have been hunting across the galaxy for 50,000 years. They have dozens of ships like the Eternal Hunt, each one containing the preserved remains of dead civilizations." Elena activated a star map showing the known locations of Keth Moran ships. "I propose that we hunt them all down. Every ship, every crew, every trophy room. We take back everything they have stolen from the galaxy." The room was silent as everyone considered the magnitude of what Elena was suggesting. It would mean pursuing the Keth Moran across multiple star systems. It would require building an interstellar fleet and learning to fight in space. But it would also mean saving hundreds of civilizations from permanent extinction. Admiral Chen spoke first. "The military implications are staggering. We would essentially be declaring war on an entire galactic civilization." "Not war," Elena corrected. "A hunt. We would be hunting them the same way they hunted everyone else. Except we would be better at it." Maria, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke up. "Dr. Vasquez is right. The Keth Moran have a fatal weakness. They have never been hunted before. They do not know how to run from a predator that will not give up." Elena nodded. "Humans are persistence predators. It is what we evolved to be. We follow our prey until it collapses from exhaustion. The Keth Moran can run to the other side of the galaxy, but we will follow them. We will never stop coming." The vote was unanimous. Humanity would launch the Great Pursuit. Over the next 5 years, human fleets spread across the galaxy, systematically hunting down every Keth Moran ship they could find. The aliens tried to run, tried to hide, tried to fight back. Nothing worked. Humans just kept coming. The psychological impact on the Keth Moran was complete. A species that had spent 50,000 years as apex predators was reduced to cowering refugees. They could not understand creatures that became more dangerous when threatened. One by one, the great hunting ships were captured. The endless stalk fell to a human fleet near the Andromeda border. The prey's end was taken in a battle that lasted 3 days. The Dark Hunt tried to escape into deep space, but human ships followed it for 6 months until it finally surrendered. Each captured ship yielded new treasures, genetic samples, cultural databases, and technological innovations from hundreds of extinct civilizations. Elena stood in the main hall of what had once been the Eternal Hunt. The ship had been renamed the Remembrance and converted into a center for galactic restoration, where trophy cases had once displayed the dead. Laboratories now worked to bring the extinct back to life.